have the great pleasure of introducing Brenda Harris. She is a diva in the truest sense of the word, and I say that with great admiration and love, because diva really truly means first lady, prima donna, so basically just someone of vocal distinction, and she is all of that, and just an absolute true mensch. She is a fabulous colleague and a wonderful, generous performer. She's been with Utah Opera on several occasions. This is your fourth production with us. She's sung most recently Ariadne in '07, and she's done Magic Flute and started with us in And she performs all over the place. She performs all over the United States. She's performed at companies like the Metropolitan Opera, Washington National Opera Company, Atlanta Opera Theater St. Louis. She performed in Canada and in Europe at the Spoleto Festival. So we're rather proud to have her here performing with Utah Opera, and I think you're just going to be delighted. So welcome, Brenda. Thank you.
It is an incredible honor to have you here, and you are so cool. Ann Decker is a diva extraordinaire. The body of her work is incredible. It would be an hour and a half to go through it. I won't do that. I will just say she is a force of nature. We did this production in 1998 with Anne, and actually is one of the questions I want to ask. In December, she, in a sort of separate conversation, revealed that she would like to do this part again, to do this play again. And I said then what I say now: when an artist like this in our midst wants to do something like this again, what is the point of SLAC if not to do that? Period. But why do a part again, and what does it take to recreate, and what do you learn from it, and why bother?
Who wants to start? Well, certainly with opera singers, you have the opportunity to do your roles many times.
Usually, if we're lucky.
If you're lucky, but you get that in your repertoire, and you have to do it with an actor. It's not that frequent. The thing that happened with me with Maria is that I did not have enough time to do the work and the research that I wanted to do to get her under my belt. It's a huge role. It's a lot of memorizing. It's overwhelming. And I was grateful to get it up on its feet 11 years ago. I didn't realize the effect that she had on me, the role and Maria. You know, the fact she's a real life person adds to it. I found that the roles I've done that were actually real life people, such as Camille Claudel and Maria Callas, stay with me. I can't get them out of me. They stay with me. And if I have time to tell a little story, about 5 years ago, Lynn Rosetta Casper, the chef of the Splendid Table, you know, she's on NPR, she was in town doing something at one of my friends' bed and breakfast, and I went over to enjoy her good food. And she said she'd heard that I played Maria Callas. And as I was talking to her, I got quite emotional, and my voice started to shake, and tears welling up in my eyes. And she said, "She was really a part of you, isn't she?" And I said, "She is. She's in my bones." So when Nancy and I were talking about roles that I could possibly do, you know, and she said, "Would you consider doing it again?" And I said, "In a minute." Well, now this time, I've had the great opportunity to have plenty of time to research her. And she's really in my bones now. She's with me for life. So this is a pleasure, because hopefully it will be a production with deeper values that you will see more than you did 11 years ago if you happen to come back a second time. And it will have a greater meaning about who this woman is and was.
You know, let me just say that I love what I do. I love my job. I love to sing. I love every single thing that I do. I don't talk. So, I mean, on the stage. Reading the letter in Traviata gives me a rash. I'm telling you, I hate dialogue. And I have to read the letter at the beginning of the entrance scene. It's like the hardest thing, right? I hate the sound of my voice. I consider myself a recreative artist right from the get-go. It's the difference between you and me. The basic difference is my timing is not mine. My timing is given to me by the composer. So I get 8 bars to go from this emotion to this emotion, and I have to figure out how to do that. And I think some people, I've talked to my actor friends, and they're like, oh. I think that's what I like to do. Because I don't make those decisions. Those decisions are far too hard for me. So when he says, I'm like, oh. So already I'm a recreative artist. So going back to something to recreate it is like my favorite joy in the world. Because A, I hate learning music. I love knowing music. I love coaching music. I love staging music. I love working with my colleagues. I love with the conductor. I hate the buns to bench thing. So now that's done, right? The first time you do a role, it's done. Now you do it a couple more times and you come back to it. It's just a deal. Because now it's like, oh, that. And then it's like you're saying, when you have like such a ridiculously rich subject as the play or as Maria Callas, all these weird interjections that we're talking about, you find all these things that, you know, I thought, oh wow, I was reading the Mad scene the other day, going back to the opera Mad scene, and I was like, oh gosh, that moment is what we don't see in the opera. She's actually telling us what she thought right there. I never thought, you know, so I love it. That's the reason I love to come back to stuff, because if it's a great composer, and most of the things I sing now, thank you God, are Strauss and Puccini and Verdi and Mozart, great. It's just impossible to find all the cool stuff. And I think obviously that's the same with a great play or something, you know, a great character. That's why I like to do it, because all the you know, grunt trenches work is done, or at least, you know, laid, and then you get to go back and you get to just enjoy the fun of finding the new things, and you change, and how and your voice changes, and you're like, that used to suck 5 years ago, and now I'm really good there, and or vice versa. So for me, that's really the fun of it, and especially a role like this in an opera like this. It's daunting because, you know, the material is so magnificent that you just can never be worthy, but it's really, really fun to try. So
Brenda, on this note then, when you recreate a role, you've got a whole new production team, you've got a new director, a different set perhaps, and another conductor. How do you balance your interpretation and then dealing with a whole new production team and a new vision? Is that tricky to balance that sometimes?
You mean with regard to bringing what you did before? Yeah, I think that is tricky. It depends on the team. Another reason, honestly, why I like to come to Utah is because you generally hire nice people who are reasonable. Some companies are, you know, it's like personalities, right? Some companies do that and some companies don't. And you walk in the door and you're like, oh, this is going to be a struggle the whole time. Oh, you know? And you just can't, I saw my Maria Callas, right? You just can't sing your best when you're surrounded by this kind of energy. But here, no. And I've always found that to be the case. But I don't think for me that I find that to be difficult, because I'm a very visual person. And so when I come into the room and I have Louis as, you know, our current Macbeth, and then I have, you know, someone else doing it somewhere else, it just makes it completely different. It's not hard. But the materials